As Dr. Petrylak pointed out, metastatic urothelial cancer is a pretty common disease, and there is very limited therapeutics. And for decades, basically, frontline chemotherapy was all we had. The approval of the checkpoint inhibitors was important, but as Dr. Petrylak also pointed out, the response rate is basically 1 out of 4 or 5 people. Erdafitinib, a recently FDA-approved drug, is useful in this setting. However, it only impacts about 1 out of 5 patients who have a particular mutation. So new therapies are badly needed. I'm also compelled by this data. There's activity in patients who've received both chemotherapy or prior immunotherapy. There's activity in hard-to-reach disease sites like the liver. The median follow-up of the median survival of these patients approaches a year, and albeit it's a phase 2 study, the reality is frontline chemotherapy, best we have, median is 13 months. So the reality is, in my mind, I look at this data as effective therapy. I would support accelerated approval. I hope the FDA shares that. The confirmatory phase 3 will get done rapidly, hopefully. I think this is an important development for our patients.
Thanks so much. Dan, one quick follow-up question for you. So you mentioned that the target Nectin-4 is expressed on a number of different tumor types. So as far as you know, is the drug being developed in other tumor types as well?
Yes, the phase 1 trial actually included ovarian and lung cancer patients. There are phase 2 studies that are being designed in breast cancer as well as gastric cancer, basically anywhere that nectin is expressed.
So that's a particularly very high impact if the studies in the other diseases show similar activity. Okay, so now is your chance to ask some questions, so please come to a microphone and identify yourself and to whom you're addressing your question.
Hi, Neil Osterwild with Oncology Practice. A question for Dr. Petrylak. Just a little bit more about the target, about Nectin-4. So is it newly discovered? And you mentioned just now the question, Dr. Schilsky asked what I was going to ask about where else it's being tried. But
So it was discovered, I think, within the last 5 years, and it's expressed almost preferentially in tumor cells, not really expressed at high levels in normal cells. In fact, a lot of normal tissue does not express nectin. So as Dr. Schilsky pointed out, there are other studies that are going to be done. Lung cancer, I believe, ovarian cancer, I don't think they're going to be going forward with the cohort, but head and neck cancer, there's a phase 2 trial that's now being designed for 3 different solid tumors.
And how specific is the drug so that you don't, apparently you don't get many of those off-target effects?
So the major side effects that we've seen include rash, peripheral neuropathy. All of these, as we'll see in the presentation later, pretty much are reversible. We had only one toxic death that was on treatment.